The MLB trade deadline happened a week ago, and Skubal was traded to the Dodgers, and Rutschman was shipped up north to Boston, and big names were moving everywhere. But here's the thing that nobody is talking about. The trade deadline doesn't determine the winners or losers in that exact moment. It is what happens the weeks after that. So today, I'm checking in on 5 MLB teams to see who's actually cashing in, what teams should be panicking, and talk about one team that didn't do anything, and it might be the smartest team in baseball for it. Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers was actually traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers, making them having one of the scariest pitching rotations in MLB history. But since that has happened, they actually dropped their first 7 games when signing him. This is one of their longest losing streaks of the season, and it even included a walk-off loss to in-division rivals, the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Los Angeles Dodgers have lost their last 3 series since trading for Tarek Skubal, yet they are still 69-47 with a 7.5 game lead in the NL West. This team isn't in danger, but it definitely makes us question how real of a juggernaut they really are. And for the Detroit Tigers on this side, they sit at 54 wins and 58 losses at the deadline, and they traded their ace, which on paper seems like they're waving the white flag. Yet they did the exact same thing in 2024. During that trade deadline, everyone was selling at that point, and they ended up winning their last 31 of their 44 games and made the playoffs anyways. So do the Detroit Tigers know something more about their own organization than us outsiders looking in? The Red Sox gave up some real prospects to end up landing Rutschman from a division rival, and this is becoming a bigger deal since it is not, going from the AL to the NL, but it's in the same division, which should have the Orioles a little bit worried since he was actually one of the key pieces to help them rebuild that team. Since the All-Star break, the Boston Red Sox have gone 14-3, and they've actually won 23 of their last 26 games. This team isn't hoping for this trade to pay off later. It's a team that is already rolling and adding the exact pieces that they were missing to make their team that much better for their playoff push. For Baltimore, though, they had a record of 54 wins and 58 losses, and they were feeling like a team that should be restocking and revamping, but they ended up becoming a shocking selling team. And personally, the Boston Red Sox are the biggest winners out of this trade, and especially since Adley Rutschman has not been able to play with the Red Sox, he is right now doing rehab with their AAA team, and he's been looking really solid, even making a double, and even throwing out some runners as well, so he's looking very healthy and looking like he's going to be bouncing back with that team any day now. Now going down south to the Tampa Bay Rays, they currently have the best record in the AL, sitting at 68 wins and 46 losses. And they ended up making 2 very quiet additions, which might be even bigger than what most people realize, adding Hicks and Peralta as well, making a new battery for the Tampa Bay Rays. And their first game together was against the Colorado Rockies, which they ended up winning, and Hicks ended up hitting his first hit for the Tampa Bay Rays as a grand slam, so watching that definitely hurt, but for me personally, the Colorado Rockies are doing way better than they were last year, so I cannot be complaining. And for one team that was quite shocking that didn't make any moves was the Milwaukee Brewers, since they do have the best record in baseball right now and did almost nothing. Well, they didn't do nothing. They actually moved very useful pieces like Dustin May for future outfield prospects. And for me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So why are they fixing something that has gotten them into the best record in MLB? I believe when October approaches, the Milwaukee Brewers are going to do what they did last year and end up falling to the Los Angeles Dodgers again, because they just do not have the firepower or the offense to be able to compete with that rotation the Dodgers have and all of the hitting pieces that they have. And one of my dark horse teams for the rest of the year is going to be the New York Yankees, because at the end of June, they had a record of 48-31 losses and looked like one of the best teams in the MLB. Then the wheels completely fell off as they lost 9 out of 10 games at one point, where they got swept by both the Detroit Tigers and the Boston Red Sox, where they had one of the worst offensive stretches in franchise histories. During that rough patch for the New York Yankees, it was injuries that played a huge part into that, where Judge and Stanton were both on the IL at the exact same stretch. The New York Yankees currently have a 64-51 record, holding a wild card spot right now, and during the trade deadline, they were quite modest, only adding depth positions right now like Luis Garcia Jr. with no big statement moves. And if you're a New York Yankee fan, do you feel worried? because you have a massive payroll and a historic collapse right now for this team. And for their options right now, it doesn't seem like they wanted to make any big splashes and are confident that once they get their pieces, major pieces off the IL, they'll be able to continue being one of the best teams in MLB. And for things that I'm going to be watching for the rest of the season is going to be how the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox end up handling that AL East, because they are not going to be able to catch the Tampa Bay Rays, but while they are fighting for those wild card positions, it's going to be very interesting on how that division shapes out. For the 5 teams we talked about, they have 5 very unique opportunities and situations that they are sitting in now after this MLB trade deadline, and it's going to be interesting to see how all of these teams go in the direction that they are hoping to go for October and their playoff pushes. For all of the moves that were made during the MLB trade deadline, leave a comment on what you feel like was the most important trade for a certain team, or if I missed out on any of the teams that made a big splash that I didn't cover, leave a comment as well. I would love to read it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button if you like these sports talks as well, and I will definitely be more consistent on these uploads. And if you cannot tell from our last video, we have a new background, which means I had to take down all of my old setup and rebuild it to where I am now, and I'm very happy to be back making these YouTube videos. But for now, stay fresh.